Well, let's get started. It's 1 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar on how to utilize one of your free member benefit products offered to you by CRMLS called REMINE. I love this tool, and I hope you guys will enjoy today's webinar and learn a lot of great stuff. Just a quick introduction of who I am. My name is Anthony. I work here at Orange County Realtors. Been here now since 2002, so almost 17 years. Started off in the MLS department, so I know guaranteed I'll speak to all of you, if not most of you, regarding rules, regulations, violations, all that fun stuff. What I'm also involved with is our outreach program. Our outreach program is designed to give you training on all your tools and products. So not only do I train on MLS and their tools, how to run searches, how to modify listings, things like that, but I also train on zip forms and all the products associated with zip forms. So how to put together a transaction, how to digitally sign a document using either DocuSign or Digital Ink, and of course some of the other advanced tools. But I also train on the technology and member benefits offered to you by CAR, OCAR, NAR, all those entities. So one of those products that we are going to go over today is called REMINE. Now REMINE, just real quickly, if you don't know, is an effective way of being able to target market. And what I mean by that is that I'm sure most of you attending today's webinar does some sort of marketing. You go out, you find, or you do a search in the MLS, you look at your neighborhoods, you look at your turnover ratios, and you notice that in that neighborhood you've got about anywhere from a couple of hundred homes to maybe about 1,000 or more homes, right? And what you're doing is you're probably spending money putting together a marketing plan and sending out marketing material, like maybe you're mailed postcards, maybe you're door knocking, maybe you're dropping off flyers, things like that. On average, you're probably spending anywhere from a couple of $1,000s, or I should say a few $100s to a few $1,000s each and every month to market in a neighborhood. But statistically, and you probably have heard this statistic, is that usually if you're doing, say, mail marketing, it usually takes about a year to a year and a half before you see any fruition from that type of marketing. Well, this is where REMINE is going to come in. REMINE being your free CRMLS member product, this will allow you to apply certain filters to be able to target certain people or certain properties to be able to market to them a little bit differently than you would the general area. So you could apply filters like mortgage age, mortgage rates, how long they've owned the property, absentee owners, things like that, that you can now all of a sudden gear your marketing to those specific or general or specific people that will pertain to just them versus the general area. So that way, in a way, or I should say, in a way, your marketing now becomes more specified and more effective on how you're going to talk to those particular people rather than the general neighborhood, if that makes sense. So where do we begin to use REMINE? Well, we begin or access REMINE all from the MLS system. So here we're going to be logged into the MLS, and under the MLS, we can access REMINE a couple of different ways. First way is from the home screen. Here on the home screen, we have a widget called the External Links widget, and I'm going to highlight this here. The External Links widget. The External Links widget gives us access to our third-party member benefits. In this little box here, we'll see here that we have a choice here that says, whoops, not Glide, but REMINE. We go down on this little box here and we click on REMINE, we can access REMINE there, or we can go over near the top on the green tabs at the top, click on our Links tab. Now if we click on the Links tab, we'll have access to all of our third-party member benefits here, even more so than the external links. From here, what we're going to do is now we're going to scroll down to look for one of our benefits, and the benefit that we're going to find here is called REMINE. So here I'm just going to highlight that real quick. We're now going to click on where it says REMINE right here. When we click on REMINE, a little window is going to open up. Now it's going to say, because this is, again, a free member benefit, welcome CRMLS member, continue to REMINE. Now, most of the tools that I'm going to show you today, or I should say the tools that I'm going to show you today is your free member benefit, your free member benefits. You do not necessarily have to pay for REMINE in order to do what we're going to do today. Now, REMINE does have a paid service. Their paid service, or I should say their paid services, does allow you to do extra things and access extra filters, but I can almost guarantee you that with what we're going to do today, there's really no need to do that, but there are some benefits to paying for it, and I will go over that today. But my job is not to get you to pay for anything. I just want you to use the product, okay? Now, by any chance, is anybody actually marketing right now? I would hope so, right? All right, so here what we're going to do is now we're going to click on where it says continue to REMINE. When you click on continue to REMINE, REMINE's going to open up. Now, it seems like REMINE keeps updating itself at least every week or every other week. So the landing page here that now comes up is called What's Happening Daily, or the Daily tab over here to the left. And what this does is it lets you know what's been happening in the MLS. How many in the past 30 days for all the entire MLS, we've got a bunch of new listings that we can see. So we can see that here. Now, what I really want to care about, what we really care about here is to actually market our neighborhoods, right? So what we want to do, once we get to the daily screen, we want to come over here to the left-hand side and click on where it says Discover. Discover is where the magic happens. When we click on Discover, we're now going to be taken to a map. Here in our map, the first time that we probably click on this, we're going to be zoomed way out here on the map and just probably be given whatever location that you're at. Now, we have several things that we can do here. And by the way, over here to the left are properties that come up based on what our map view is. Now, what's really nice about REMINE, we'll see listed and unlisted property data. Now, one of the other cool things about REMINE is that it will display tax information, just like Realist, except that we're going to actually be able to see extra information that Realist doesn't display to us. So it's like Realist on steroids, and we'll go over that in a little bit more detail. But what we want to do here is hide this list of properties because we don't want to see any properties yet. We want to be able to get to our neighborhood. Now, we have several ways of getting to our neighborhood. One is we can grab on the map and move the map manually ourselves, or two, come up over to the top left corner here, and you have a search box here at the very top that says address, zip, school, neighborhood. This is where we're going to be able to type in a property address. Now, if we don't know the address, that's fine. Just simply type in, say, the city. So here I'm going to type in, say, Laguna Hills, because we're in the Laguna Hills area of California. The moment I type in Laguna Hills, I all of a sudden start getting a list of addresses that I could actually click on myself. Or if I scroll down just a bit further, I should see the choice of Laguna Hills. And actually, let's try this again. Laguna Hills. I want Laguna Hills Mall. I want Laguna Hills, California. Let's see what happens. There we go. And hopefully this will work the way I've been able to get it to work. And it doesn't look like it's doing what I want it to do. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to type in a different city. We're going to go with Aliso Viejo. There we go. Aliso Viejo comes up. I'm going to click on it. Now, what I really like about this is that you now see the outline borders of what is Aliso Viejo. If you type in that city, this is what you're going to see. Now, all these little numbers are all the properties in the area. Now, currently right now, if we look just down below into the search bar, we have the statuses of active in the city of Aliso Viejo. If I wanted to, I can now say, don't show me any active homes, just show me properties. Now, to look at the properties here, we're now going to start to zoom in. Now, how we zoom in, I can either roll my mouse with that little roller ball in the middle of my mouse to zoom, or come down below here to the bottom right corner and click on the plus sign to start to zoom in on my map. What I want to do is come in on my map just to the point where I get to see these nice little lovely blue dots. Now, these lovely little blue dots that you see here on a map are properties. Now, we're not just going to be able to see residential homes. REMINE, just like Realist, will allow you to look up commercial property tax information as well. If I hover over top of a blue dot and I click once, that little list of properties now kicks over and it highlights that property, whereby I can immediately see here an estimated price. If it's on, actually, let me start over. I get to see if the property is active or not active in the MLS. We'll talk about the sales score in a second. We get to see an estimated price, its estimated equity, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, the actual address, and the owner's information. If I click on the property, I'm going to be able to see the tax information, but we're going to get there in a second. Now, what we can do here, when we get to our little blue dots, after we go to our city, we need to map out maybe our tract or that neighborhood. Now, the way we can map out the neighborhood or the tract is over here at the top of the map. We have several things that we can do, and we have drawing tools here, right in the top middle of our map. In the top middle of our map, I can draw a circle. So if I click on the circle choice, I click once. Now I'll find my starting center, click and hold down with my mouse, draw out, and let go. The moment I let go, my circle solidifies, and everything outside that circle now disappears. Besides the circle, we can draw a square or rectangle. Here, click on the square rectangle, find my starting side, hold down and out, let go. Everything outside my circle now, everything outside my square now disappears. Or, because in most cases, most of our streets have nice little funny little curves and everything like that, this is where your polygon comes in. So if we click on the polygon, find your starting corner, click, click, all the way around and hug your street boundaries for your shape. And then always get back to your start. So here we can actually outline our city, our neighborhood boundaries. Now, after you outline your neighborhood boundaries, or you come to your city, you'll notice here right underneath the search, tells you how many results. Now this is how many properties I'm currently looking at on my map. So if I were to draw all of a sudden around my neighborhood, because this is a great neighborhood that I want to start marketing in, I'm going to see here that there are 256 properties in my neighborhood. Well, now, how do I know which properties might ready to be listing now or later, or who owns the, or how long they've owned the property versus, their mortgage rates? How do I find out all this information here? Well, this is where we're going to have, just below the results, our filters. We have several filters that we can choose from in order to see in this area how I want to market to, or who I want to market to, and how to market to them. So we're just going to go over your free filters right at the moment. Now, some of these filters are paid services. Other filters are free. Most of the filters in your filter list here are absolutely free. First filter that we'll touch on is the ownership time. So in these 256 homes, I want to know who's owned their home the longest. Well, if I click on the ownership time filter, I now all of a sudden can filter out or filter those people who have owned their home longer or shorter. So maybe I want to see in this 256 property neighborhood, people who have owned their property for 15 or longer years. Now when I select the filters and I hit apply, here are 50 homes that meet that criteria. So now I can see who's owned. Now, why is it a good beneficial thing of knowing who's owned their home the longest? Well, maybe people who have owned their home longer probably have a little bit more equity than somebody say who bought their home a year or two ago. Maybe they're empty nesters. So maybe I need to think about maybe target marketing those people who might be empty nesters in this neighborhood or anything like that. And also usually ownership times means what? They probably don't have that high of a mortgage to begin with, or that much left on their mortgage that they may want to think about downsizing or upsizing or what have you. The next filter that we're going to play with, and oh, by the way, as you're adding into your filters, at the top next to your results are what filters you've actually added to your list. Oh, we have a question. Let's see. It's so annoying that a fee for only 100 people. Why don't REMINE show only up to 100? Because I have to move the map around and get below 100, and it lets. Okay, Natalia. Basically, the free version allows you to track up to 100 properties at a given time. This is where their paid services will allow you to track more properties, but this is where those applying filters will come in, because now as you apply filters, those search results will now start to narrow down. So yes, maybe you want to only track your first 100 homes. Well, this is where it's important to maybe outline your neighborhood. And if that neighborhood is 1,000 homes deep, then this is where we're going to be able to apply multiple filters to all of a sudden get below that 100 property or that 100 listing mark. Because usually when we want to think about targeting certain people to get maybe their properties, we want to be able to narrow down that list because not everybody is in the same situation. I hope that makes sense. Let's see. All right, so did I answer your question, by the way, Natalia? Well, if you just say filter show me 100 homes, you could be missing out on a lot of information in that neighborhood because most neighborhoods aren't narrowed down to just 100 properties. Some neighborhoods have 400 properties, other neighborhoods have 1,000 properties, things like that. So this is where I'm showing you here applying certain filters that you can narrow it down to that 100 or less. Okay? So besides ownership time, I'm going to take away these two filters here for ownership time. I'm going to skip over the sales score because I do want to show you the sales score. Building type, we can look at the building types here. We can look at single family, condo, townhome, family home, or income property or other if we choose. Knowing that this is a residential area, I probably don't care about the building type or the land usage. Here, the land usage, we'll get to see things like residential versus commercial. Residential, commercial, industrial, land, farm. So this is nice for me to understand maybe who I need to market to, especially if I'm a commercial guy. or maybe I want to see farmlands, so you could do that too. The next one, Airbnb. Now this one's a kind of a funny filter. Here, maybe I want to see in this neighborhood if anyone has an Airbnb. So if I click on the Airbnb filter, if somebody does have an Airbnb in this area, a little dollar amount of what they charge for their Airbnb will pop up. So let's see here. If I get rid of that polygon and click on Airbnb again, it's now going to quickly search my entire map here. And I don't see any Airbnbs. So that's good. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I clicked on Airbnb and I see some properties over here. One property is for $151. Another property charges $99. Now, why is that a good filter? Well, maybe if I happen to see that somebody is renting out for short-term rentals as an Airbnb, maybe that will indicate, or it might indicate that this is an absentee owner, and either A, they don't like their Airbnb anymore, so I can market it to them that way, or two, hey, maybe you're interested in buying other investment properties for Airbnbs for your business that you would like to rent. So it would be a great investment opportunity, or a great opportunity to talk to a possible investor who might be wanting to buy in other areas to grow their Airbnb business. So something to think about. The other filter that we're going to have fun with here is the mortgage rate. So here, if we click on the mortgage rate, I can now look at, in this neighborhood, the rates of that person's mortgage. So maybe in this case, I'm kind of curious to see in this neighborhood that I'm marketing of 256 properties, how many people are paying more than 6% in their mortgage. So now when I select this and I click on apply, I now see that in this neighborhood, and I'm going to outline this again real quick. That there are 18 homes in my 256 neighborhood that are paying more than 6% in their mortgage rates. So, why is this a good thing to know? Well, maybe my marketing to them now, maybe I'll go and door knock these neighborhoods and bring my lender along with me. And maybe when I knock on that door, I have that nice little conversation. Hi, how you doing? My name is Anthony with Jack and Jill Real Estate. Just wanted to come by and see if you're paying more than 6% in your mortgage. Why is that? By any chance, did you not get a chance to refi? Were you not able to refi? How can I or my lender help you maybe get into a more affordable mortgage, seeing how mortgage rates just dropped below 4% just a few days ago? So in a way, you can now have these types of conversations, which is kind of cool because now we can look for these homes. And by the way, we can apply multiple filters. So maybe if somebody's paying more than 6% in their mortgage and you'd figure, hey, wait a minute, why didn't they just get into a better mortgage rate just a couple of years ago when it was under 4? Maybe they couldn't. Maybe this is a great conversational piece that you can have with someone. Or maybe my marketing to these particular homes will be, do you need to get into a better mortgage, or did you not think about refinancing? Is there a way that I can help? Let me know. So here, maybe we want to apply multiple filters, like the mortgage rate being more than 6%. And of course, I want to see those people that have owned the home for more than 20 years, and I apply. So now I've got 2 different filters here. And now out of those 18, 6 of them have been in their properties for more than 20 years and do have more than 6% in their mortgage rates. So now these 6 properties I can go to. Maybe these particular clients bought more than 20 years ago, just never thought anything of it, got into this mortgage rate, and have just been paying on it ever since. So maybe we look at helping them out. Anybody kind of like that? I hope so. Yep, excellent. Thanks, Gina. All right, next filter that we're going to touch on, last sales, besides the mortgage age. Oh, here we go. Besides the mortgage rate, mortgage age. So here maybe we want to think about people who are paying more than 20 years in their mortgage or 15, which would be a great indicator of equity, but they just recently added a brand new filter here called has no mortgage. Wouldn't it be great to know what properties in this neighborhood have no mortgage at all? So I can select this, and now when I say apply, I see that there are 54 homes that absolutely have no mortgage at all. So now, what do they have that other people in this neighborhood do have or won't have as much of? Equity. So now maybe I market to these 54 properties an entire mailing campaign about, how much equity do you have? If you have no mortgage, maybe you have maxed out on your equity. Can we see the leased properties? Unfortunately, this will show you every property. It doesn't say leased, but you can actually find absentee. Now, the absentee filter that is here, Gina, is a paid filter, unfortunately. So you have to get on REMINE's paid plan. But trust me, I'm hopefully going to find one in this neighborhood, but you'll see on the actual property report the absentee owner information. So you don't necessarily have to pay for this particular filter, if that makes sense. And usually if it's an absentee owner, it's probably a rental property. I think title can also get that to you as well, especially if you go, hey, I've got some properties here, can you let me know if they're absentee owners or not? Honestly, by pulling what we're going to pull here in a second, you'll see by their mailing address, and of course, literally, it will say, it'll have the owner's name, and if they're an absentee owner, right next to it will say absentee. All right, next filter, last sales price. Last sales price is great because I want to see when they first bought it, right, or how much they bought it for. So say as an example, I've done a quick CMA in this neighborhood because obviously I want to see what the turnover ratio is like, what the home prices are like, things like that. And in my CMA here in Aliso Viejo, I see that properties are going anywhere from $800,000 to $900,000, right? Well, here what I can do is go under the last sales price and say, show me people who have bought homes between $250,000 and $500,000. Now when I click on apply, I see that there are 15 properties that bought between $250,000 to $500,000. So now if I know that the neighborhood is going from 8 to 9, now I can market to these people and say, you might have a lot of equity in your home. How can I help you get to your next stage? Do you need to upgrade? Do you need to downgrade? Do you need to take out a reverse mortgage? Things like that. Okay. Last two filters here that we'll go over. Cash buyers. I want to see in this neighborhood if there were anybody in this neighborhood that bought their property all cash. Here, if I click on cash buyers filter, I should see a little dollar sign or a little dollar amount come up next to a property and tell me how much they bought their property for all cash. In this case, it doesn't look like this particular neighborhood anyone bought their property all cash. Oh, wait a minute. There it goes. There we go. We got a bunch of properties here that were bought straight out all cash. Properties bought straight out all cash, more than likely pure equity, maybe possible investor. We're going to be able to see all that. So here we can look at maybe a property real quick. If I pull it up. So this property was bought for, or estimated at $1 million here, right? It was bought with all cash. Maybe I want to say, let's apply that filter. Let's see how much they paid for it. Applied. Well, it was more than $500,000. But here are the other 15 homes that weren't bought all cash. All right. Last filter that we'll touch on today, sales score. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Not what I wanted to do there. Ooh, come on, back out. All right, last filter that we'll touch on today. We'll turn that filter off. Sales score. I love the sales score. Sales score gives you a rating of high, low, and medium. What this means is that their likelihood in that neighborhood to sell between now and later. So low sales score means that people are ready to sell their home and between 14 months and older. A medium is anyone who is ready to sell their home between 7 months and 13 months, and high 0 to 6. So these are the likelihood of someone wanting to list and sell their property. Now, how sales score is figured. REMINE uses a bunch of different algorithms. What they do is they get filters or algorithms from Google, Facebook, social media, county records, anything like that. So what they do is, because all these other entities, Google, Facebook, they track everything about everybody, right? Your buying habits, things that you're buying, things that you're saying on the internet, things that you might be recording at the county, like divorce and birth and marriages and things like that. These are all considered lifestyle changes. If for some reason someone's going through a major life-changing event, this will affect your sales score. So what we want to look for here in this 260 group neighborhood, who's more than likely ready to list now to 6 months from now. So here what I can do is I can come over to this sales score, click on high. Now I can say apply, and now that I see 11 properties in this neighborhood are ready to list between now and 6 months from now. Now, when I usually tell this to agents or I show this to agents, I usually ask the one question: do you just mail something to somebody who's ready to list between now and 6 months from now? What are you probably more than likely going to do? You're probably going to drive to these particular homes, knock on their door, and say the following: hi, my name's Anthony. I'm with Jack and Jill Real Estate. So nice to meet you. Are you going through a major life-changing event in your life that you might need to change, or that you might need to change properties or sell your property? How can I help you with that lifestyle change? Are you going through a divorce? Are you getting married? Did you just get pregnant? Things like that. Did someone die in your family and you got to sell the property? How can I help you? Now, granted, you're probably going to have your own script with this, but you kind of get the gist. You're actually going to go out there and talk to these properties. Let's see here. Gina, you asked a question. I think, Natalia. After applying some filters, try to catch 100, right. You have 200? Oh, yes. So, yes, right now I have 260, but I'm only allowed to track 100 of those properties. So me applying my various different filters, as you notice here, I have 11 results. This is where we're going to be able to do some of the other fun things like track. And I'll show you what you can do with that track list. Okay? So that's what we can do. So yes, here with the applied filter of the sales score, I'm more than likely going to drive to these 11 homes in my neighborhood and knock on their door pretty religiously. I know how most agents are when it comes to their mail marketing. They're probably spending 6 or 7 months just mailing things to this neighborhood. And all of a sudden they drive the neighborhood one day and all of a sudden they start seeing for sale signs by other agents and they're upset. Why aren't those clients using me? That's not fair. That's not right. Oh my gosh. How did that person, they haven't even been marketing in my neighborhood. It's probably because, one, the person knew their agent, or two, somebody just happened to knock on their door and say, hey, I just was curious. Are you ready to sell your home? And got in there that way. So don't be afraid to actually knock on these doors because these people may be ready to go. Okay? All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring up a list. So I'm going to go with that mortgage rate again. So I'm going to apply my two filters in here. Mortgage rate over 6%, and of course last sales price. So here we've got those 4 properties that are paying more than 6% of their mortgage. They've owned it for 20 or more years. Or I'm sorry, they bought between $250,000 to $500,000. Either way, once you get your desired number of matches here, now what we're going to do is we have to track these properties. The reason why we're going to track them is that we're going to be able to use some information from this track list for various different things. So when I click on track all, and again, you can have in your free service up to 100 properties tracked at any given time. So what I can do is I can rotate through my track list. Now, when I track a property this way or track a group of properties this way, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to come back over here to the left-hand side and click on where it says track. Here, under my track list, will be a list of all the properties that I'm currently tracking. Now, a couple of nice things here. One, I get to see the current status of the property. So I see that it's off market, meaning that it's not listed by anybody. It's not in the MLS as an active listing in the MLS. I get to see the property address. I get to see the owner's information. I get to see estimated value, equity, bedroom, bathroom, so on and so forth. So what do I do with this? Well, we've got several things that we can do. Number one, you guys want to do mailers. Okay, we can do that. We can simply, when we create mailers and a mailing list, we need address labels, right? So what we can do is select the properties. The moment we select the properties in our track list, we have here in the top middle where it says print mailing labels. When I click on print mailing labels, I now get to design my mailing label. So now what I can do is I can say property owner's name or the current resident. Here I'm going to leave it at the property owner's name. Under the address, it defaults to the property address, but maybe in this list I have a few absentee owners that I might want to pursue. Click on the down arrow and say mailing address. This is their tax bill address. So if there's an absentee owner different from the property location, I'm now creating a label based on their tax bill. The last choice here, the Avery mailing label template. Here we've got the 560, the 561, and the 562. So here we can now automatically have the templates to have formatted on how the address fits in with the property owner information. Now when I go to print, what should happen here is that Word will open up, or in this case Microsoft Edge, and now we see the template list here of my properties. Now wait a minute, before I hit just print, what I can now do with this is that I can now save it, or I have the choice to be able to save this in my Word file. So what I'm now doing, or what I could do, is save my mailing list permanently. So instead of having to recreate labels each and every month where I have to now track the same properties because I want to track other properties to create other mailing labels for other forms of marketing, I just now have the mailing label list here. What I can now do is probably come over where it says the printer and save it as a PDF file onto my computer, download it as Microsoft Print to PDF, download it on my computer where I can now always open it and then print it later on. Or I should be able to, download this as a Word file. And now I have a permanent template for these properties. So that's one thing that we can do. So here we can print out mailing labels. And unlike Realist, where you're limited to only 5,000 mailing labels each and every month in Realist, here I can create more than 10,000 mailing labels each and every month I'm just limited to 100 at a time for my free service. So I track one neighborhood and I apply different filters. I create mailing lists for each and every one of those mailing labels. So maybe this mailing label was, I'm going to call it the 6%ers or more, right? To stand for mortgage rates over 6%. Maybe I create in the same neighborhood the non-mortgage people. So now all of a sudden that list that I'm mailing to people is going to be full equity. And then of course we can just keep going from there and there and there and there. And of course I can jump over to other neighborhoods and do the same thing. Now the next thing that we can do, anybody here have a CRM or know what a CRM is? It's your contact management system, right? So what we can do with the property selected in our track list, I can export this information to a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet. What I'm now going to be able to do with that Excel spreadsheet is I can choose different fields or get rid of certain fields and now import that CSV file into my contact management system. So if I click here to export CSV, now I can just name it. Let's see here, AV track. And I say download. Now what's happening is all these fields are now going to be created for an Excel spreadsheet. So when I go to download the Excel spreadsheet, this is what we're going to see. Here, I've got the property address. And we can widen this out here. I got the property, the city, the state, cell score, high or low, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage in my Excel spreadsheet. You'll notice here we have a column for absentee. So what I can now do is pick and choose what information I don't want. So in Excel, I can now leave certain fields. Like I don't care about zoning, so we'll delete the zoning field. And we'll maybe delete the value field. Let's see here. Let's get rid of that. Delete. And now I just take out what columns I don't want or what rows I don't want. But here we've got the absentee, so I get to see right away that out of my mailing label list or out of my track list, who's an absentee owner. I get to see the owner information, their name, first name, last name. I don't have any phone numbers just yet because that is part of the paid service, but we'll talk about that. For those platforms, you have to have an email and phone numbers. Not all the time. Or you're absolutely right. CRMs, yes, you do need to have phone numbers and email addresses if you choose to put them in. But trust me, when we go to that next step of looking at the actual property, this is where we can get those phone numbers from. Now, as a matter of fact, somebody had talked about earlier, oh, I can get certain information from title. Guess what you can get? Phone numbers and email addresses from your title company, right? You now have access to the owner name, right? Here we've got the owner's first name, last name, all right here. We can even get to see if the property is even vested in a trust or an LLC because it's pulling tax data information. And even the second and third owner information, or actually, I'm sorry, second owner information. So if there's a first owner and a second owner, we could probably send our title rep this list and say, can you provide me the list of phone numbers and email addresses? And now with Excel, you can insert phone number slot, email, insert a column, and we'll name the column phone. And maybe insert another column and say email. So that way when I import this spreadsheet into my CRM, as long as I've gotten this information from, say, my title or some other entity, or even found it on my own, I'll get that information. And now I'll have a completed list in my CRM. Does that make sense? I hope. All right. Now, by the way, say we max out at 100, but I want to track another 100 properties. Because I've saved all this information, I've exported it to a CSV file. I'll save the Excel spreadsheet as a file, like, the Elisa Viejo track, or the Sebring track, or the absentee owner information, right? Whatever I want to call this Excel spreadsheet. Now what I can do is come back over into REMINE, select all the properties, and then say delete. So here, just to show you what I mean, we select some properties. Now I can say delete. It'll now make sure that if I want to delete this, I type in delete. Now I can hit delete, and now it removes those properties, which now frees up extra space for me to track other homes. So here what we can do is go back and forth tracking properties. Okay? Are there any questions about tracking or filters right now? No other questions? Okay. Well, then let's go over the actual property. So here what we can do, we can click on a property, and let's just pick one. When I click on a property, again, the hide list opens up, or the list of properties opens up, gives me all the properties in my list. Here, if I click on a property to go into it, to look at more details about the property, this is where you guys are going to really have a lot of fun. So when the property opens up, first thing that we're going to see is where it's located on a map. We might, over here to the left or to the right, see the Google Street View of the property, which now we can move around, go up and down the street if we choose. Scroll down a little bit further. We can see its MLS status, if it's on market or off market, meaning it's listed or not listed. Property address, what type of property, single family, residential. We get to see bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, lot square footage. We get to see the MLS ID if it was listed in the MLS. We get to see the sales score if it's high, low, or medium. We get to see the HOAs. Now, I do believe that this is estimated HOAs right away. We get to see the estimated value, estimated net equity, how long the person's owned it, and of course, who the owner's name is. Here we see in this case, the owner is Lisa Hamilton, trustee. Now, if the property was an absentee owner, here at the owner information, right next to the owner information will say right next to them in big, bold, red letters, absentee. So let's see if we can find one super quickly for you guys. I'm just going to go and pop back here. Let's see if we can't find another property here that might be an absentee owner. Well, let's just choose one. Nope. But here next to the owner's name would say absentee. Now, in this case, what we can do is now we can scroll down a little bit further. We see on the public records their taxes. So we get to see the public display of their tax year, their billing year, what the tax bill was, the total, the land, and of course their improvement. So here we get to see that from 2017 to 2018, the property value went up about, or the tax bill went up about $100. Okay. Scroll down a little bit further, we get to over here on the left, see the key stats, like if it's occupied, owner occupied or not, corporate owned, yes or no, absentee owner, yes or no. So we get to, again, see if it's an absentee owner. Their tax billing address, if it happened to be different from the billing address or the property address. So in those cases of the absentee owner, yes, it will have the tax billing address here. The neighborhoods. We also get to see the parking, if it's got a garage, how many car garage it is, the pool, acres, things like that. Sorry about that. We get to see the net equity. So here we have the estimated value. So currently, right now, the property was listed at $1,050,000 based on its estimated loan balance of $524,000. The person should be getting, if they ever close escrow, about $524,000 in their net equity. So here we get to see that. Realist doesn't display anything like that. So right away, we can start double checking and doing a CMA to talk to a person that says, well, by the way, you only owe $500,000 on your loan. If you were to sell it at the $1 million, you definitely have some equity, this, that, and the other. Now, down below here, we have the active mortgage. Now, what's cool about this is that it shows you all the active mortgages. So we see here the first active mortgage of $725 at a rate of 1%. It's an arm's length loan from First Horizon Home Loan, and this is what their payment is. But we also see down below an active mortgage, a second active mortgage for $150,000, and they're paying a rate of 6.3 for a HELOC loan from JP Mortgage. So right away, we get to see somebody is paying about $3,000 in their mortgage payments for their property. By the way, you've also got some other features over here. You've got the HOA information for some of your properties. So we see here a fee of $397, homeowners association from the Aliso Viejo community. It does have central air conditioning, flood zone information, all this fun stuff. So right away, just even going halfway down on the property, we are being displayed a lot of information, especially when it comes to the mortgage information. If you pull up this same property in Realist, it will tell you what the loan amount is, but it doesn't tell you who lent the money, or it does it. No, I don't think it tells you who lent the money. Or no, it does tell you the lender, but it doesn't tell you the type of loan. It does not tell you the rate. So at least here in REMINE, you can see all the active mortgages. I've actually seen on one or two properties, a property have 4 different mortgages on the home. They had a first, a second, and 2 HELOCs. So I thought that was pretty amazing to see and how detailed it is. Now, if we go down a little bit further on the property details, here we got the schools. So here are all the schools in the school district that are relative to the property. Doesn't mean that this property is going to this school, but here it gives you some school information. Down below, we got the valuation report, or evaluation of estimates. So based on the range of $992,000 to $1,090,000, with an estimated rental of $4,250. How they got these estimates are from the 4 entities: First American, Black Knight, Zillow, and ePraisal.com. So take those with a grain of salt. I would say run a CMA actually in the MLS to make sure that these values hold up. Down below here, we got some demographics, the household size, head of household, property history information. Here we go. We get to see all the different types of transactions on the property. We even get to see all the different mortgages that this home has ever had. So down below, we see that back in 2007, a $150,000 loan was taken out at 6.31%, which was a HELOC. Back in 2006, another $55,000 loan, which was another HELOC for 6.67, all the way down to 1996, when the property had its first mortgage, or actually a 7.88 REO and trustee deed sale. So we get to see all that. Now, most importantly, down below, the associated people. Here's everyone associated with living at or owning the property. This is anyone over the age of 18. Now, you'll notice not only is William the homeowner here, but we've also got Annette and Dawn. Now, if Annette and Dawn are his wife and kids, if they're over the age of 18, this is where you need to get their information. So, REMINE, for the free service, says that for $3, I can now get William's, Annette's, and Dawn's phone number, email address, and all their social media for just $3. So for $3, I can get 3 people's phone numbers, email addresses, and social media connections like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, all for that one fee of $3. Now that's $3 per household. So if I come back and I choose another property and I want to get their homeowner information or their owner's information or the people that live in the house's information, then it'll be another $3. Some of the paid services at the paid levels will automatically give you that information because you are paying for this for REMINE. So here as an example in 63 Timber, if we go all the way down to the bottom, here are 2 people that are associated. And it looks like these people are unavailable probably because they're on a do not call list. So then I probably have to think of some other means to get their information. But at least here we can do that. Now there was one property that I demonstrated REMINE for that happened to be an absentee owner, and that absentee owner information was here, but they also had 8 other people living, or a total of 8 people living in the house. If the person is in dark, chances are they're probably either unavailable or at the time they were under the age of 18, which you could not purchase their information. So there were 2 people that were under the age of 18 in the house that you obviously can't purchase their information for, which is understandable. But everybody else that was there, the other 6 people, for that $3, you could get their information. So, if your title can get it to you cheaper or for free, go for it. If you have other software that when you're verifying a person's information that you're paying for, maybe you just plug in their first name and last name, and now you can get all that as part of that software that you're probably already using. Great, save yourself some money. But if not, you can always pay REMINE, that one-time $3 fee for this house, and now I can get all 3 people's information right then and there. Or I can probably just start paying for REMINE. Now I will tell you that REMINE does have a paid level. Here, if we go to their what is it? Alerts. Not alerts. Let's go to their settings. Nope. Let's go back to Discover. And let's click on the upgrade. So here, oh my, it looks like they just changed their processes here. So here, at $99 a month, the $99 a month upgrade will allow you to track more properties, but no matter what, this will include, or will allow you to track more buyer leads. The $200 a month fee will allow you to track up to 10,000 people at any given time, but it will give you automatically each household's contact information. So those 3 people, if I was paying for $200 a month for REMINE, I would automatically see their email address, every phone number that they have, and of course every social media platform that they use. So for $200 a month, for 10,000 people, I can get 10,000 people's or more information that I can utilize in my CRM and contact and reach out and talk to. What's really cool about this, however, is that we have all heard that term, the no-call list. Well, if a phone number is on a do not call list, this $200 a month fee will show me not only the phone number, but right next to it will say this number is on a do not call list. So it automatically vets that phone number for us. So it's a really cool tool if you want to pay for it. But if you don't want to pay for it and you want to just use your free service, then please, by all means, do so. I definitely encourage you to at least begin to use it for your marketing. So, are there any questions or anything? Again, we are recording today's webinar. Everyone should be, everybody in attendance will be getting a copy of today's webinar emailed to them by tomorrow. And of course, I will give you access to my YouTube channel if you'd like, whereby I am going to upload this video as well for you to be able to peruse it later on in case you miss out on the email. Let's see here. For those platforms, you have to email and phone number, and it goes, oh, okay. That was an earlier question. Oh, you're welcome, Satare. Satare? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Well, if there are no other questions, I hope everybody had enjoyed today's information and today's webinar. I hope that you use it. I hope that you're able to get some listings using this tool. I think if you just use the sales score in that neighborhood, I think finding out or knowing who's ready to list between now and 6 months from now will help your business vastly. You just got to go out there and grab it. The information's here. This is all public data. Go out there and get it. So I wish you all the very best. I hope you all, again, enjoyed today's information. If I didn't go over something, please let me know. Or if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. My information, if you ever need to contact me, very simply, you can email me. My email is Tony, Tony, @ocar.org. And of course, I can also be reached via phone, 949-586-6800, extension 104. With that said, I hope everybody has a great and wonderful weekend. Have great and wonderful business and enjoy this weather, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.